Welcome to On the Move.
All legislation that violates the Constitution is lawless and must be declared void by a self-governing people. This is the very framework of America. Now, I realize we have the practical aspect of this, and we say, well, there's the laws and they're enforcing them. It is our job as Americans to see to it that lawless legislation is not only not passed, but that if it is passed, it is declared void by a self-governing people. Ditto for Connecticut. We see this same thing, and it breaks my heart when I see men lining up to register their guns, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? Because the law is not what the legislators say if it violates the fundamental law, the supreme law of the land in this Constitution. This is the law for government. We saw a recent issue that was mentioned at least once today, and it was the raid on Aries Armor in California. And we had the Bureau of Tobacco and Firearms, and they went to this gun store that was selling 80% lowers for AR-15 style rifles. And they wanted the names of the people purchasing these. As many of you are familiar with this story, Aries Armor got a restraining order against the Bureau of Tobacco and Firearms. And then the Bureau of Tobacco and Firearms went around that, and they found alternatives to this, and they got a warrant from a different judge, and they raided the store, they took the computers, they took $200,000 to $300,000 worth of merchandise, and they walked out with it. Now, when this happened, I called the owner of Aries Armor, and I said, I'm a U.S. congressional candidate, and I want to get the story straight from you and make sure I know what's going on. And it was pretty much what we were seeing in the news. Now, there's two things here. We have lawlessness on multiple levels. On the first level, we have lawlessness with the Bureau of Tobacco and Firearms. Now, the Bureau of Tobacco and Firearms is not lawless simply because I disdain them. The Bureau of Tobacco and Firearms is lawless not only in that they tread on the most fundamental liberties of America. They are lawless because they are not an agency that is authorized to exist. And as has also been mentioned today, I had all these things I was going to mention, and all these great people got up before me and brought them up. So we're very educated here today, which is really great to see. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution tells the government this is what you can do. That's the enumerated powers. And then as we mentioned recently in the 10th Amendment, it says not only is this Constitution what you can do, this is all that you can do. We've become apathetic, Americans. We've allowed the government to trample on the separation of powers. We've allowed the federal government to be involved in things that they have no right whatsoever to be involved in. And we, the people, made a law that said, shall not be infringed. And we are allowing that law to be violated. You do not tell a free people they cannot have guns. They tell you they can. I think it's been covered very well here today, and I don't need to go into any of these things too deeply, other than to say we need to educate our neighbors. We need to take these conversations. We need to step back and look at the big picture. Because what we're seeing here is a nation of apathy. A nation whose fundamental laws of liberty are crumbling, and we have people standing around doing nothing because they're too busy watching reality shows on TV. Now, what is the solution to this? People come to me and they say, oh, you talk a good game, Gavin, you talk the Constitution. What's your solution? There is no better solution to the problems, especially for our federal government, than the Constitution. And we must start electing representatives on the state level and on the federal level that will abide by the laws that we placed upon them. And if those representatives fail to represent us, we must fire them, throw them from office, and replace them with representatives who will uphold the law. The government is the fry cooks, and we are the employer. And when you have a fry cook that burns the chow over and over again, you remove them and you replace them with someone who will do the job properly. Liberty is not the fringe. Liberty is the foundation. My name is Gavin Seim. I'm running for the 4th Congressional District for the U.S. House of Representatives, and I'd be happy to chat with any of you. I will not support legislation of any kind that infringes on our right to bear arms. That's my word. And it's all of our responsibility to look at what our representatives are doing, to challenge them, to question them, and to make sure that they are following the laws that we placed upon them, that they are serving us because they are the servants and we, the people, are the masters. And it's time that we exerted that authority over them. In conclusion, I'd just like to encourage everybody to remember what the framers gave us. The framers gave us a republic if we can keep it. And we have representatives, we have a delegated authority, we have a separation of powers. It does us no good whatsoever to sit and throw popcorn at the TV. We have to get involved. We have to get beyond anger and get into fixing the problem and addressing the issues. We have to get involved. And the framers fully intended us to be the sentinels of liberty. This Constitution is an alarm that the wall of liberty has been breached. And that alarm is ringing loud and clear. So I hope you will all, this year and in every year following, and we must teach this to our children and grandchildren. Liberty is too precious to be buried away in books. We must hold it up in front of us every single day of our lives because it matters and it is our duty to preserve it. Thank you.
Yeah.